Good morning. Can you hear me? Good. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, level 39. It's probably about a year ago since I was here last. Probably one of the first times I was here just to get a flavor of the emergence of the token economy, almost exactly a year ago to the day. And it was actually then that we started to consider how we, as the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, which is who we are, we could apply some of the rules and principles of a regulated exchange to the token market. But more of that later. As I say, my name is Philip Young, the marketing director of the Gibraltar Stock Exchange and our subsidiary, the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange, which is why I'm here to talk to you. Just actually thinking about it a little bit more, I grew up here on the Isle of Dogs and South London 35 years ago, 40 years ago. And back then, the Isle of Dogs, as you can imagine, was very different to what it is now. And we saw the emergence of something interesting happening here, but very difficult to predict how this place evolved to where it is today, 35, 40 years later. And I suppose as an interesting parallel, I guess where we are now with the new digital era, equally, very difficult to think about where we could be in a year's time, let alone 40 years' time. And I think it's beholden on all of us, private sector, regulators, and stock exchanges, and just both the public and the private to come together and work towards creating this new digital era. How do we do that? Well, this is why I'm here, just to talk to you a little bit about our efforts, both in Gibraltar and the Gibraltar Stock Exchange. How does this work? Got it. Gibraltar. It's not an offshore island in the Mediterranean or indeed in the Caribbean. We are actually joined at the hip to the mainland of southern Spain, but we have been for 250 years part of the United Kingdom. We are an overseas territory, almost completely self-governing in all aspects apart from defence, which we leave to the UK government here back in London. But we have a very diverse economy built on a number of pillars. Financial services, shipping, online gaming is a huge business for us, and tourism, each accounting for about 20% of our GDP. And I think in terms of the online gaming business, we 25 years ago created a regulatory framework for online business, or at the time, web and telephone gambling companies here in the UK who were looking to move out of the UK and find a home. And the Gibraltar government and the regulator worked with some of the big names back then to create a regulator and a regulatory framework that, if we fast forward to 20, 25 years ago today, we have some of the world's biggest online gaming businesses that are based in Gibraltar. But we only have 29 franchises, but out of those 29, they're all the big blue chip names. They've all come to Gibraltar, and they like the idea of having a regulatory certainty, but also a kite mark, a blue chip stamp of approval. And so when you see in the newspapers, the radio, the television, all the online gaming businesses that that advertise, William Hill's, Betfred, BetVictor, Red 32, etc., they are all Gibraltar companies. So out of those small number of franchises that we have, they control about 40% of the global online gaming business. Compare that with, say, for example, Malta, where they have about 300 licenses. We have very few, but again, it was that emphasis on transparency and regulation, which was very important to us, and customer protection. So back in 2015, the government and the regulator and the private sector around 2015, 2016 started to consider how we could look at the blockchain and what we could do in terms of answering two fundamental questions. Should we be regulating the blockchain somehow, and if so, how? And those were the sort of conversations we began 2 years ago. And that actually concluded back in 2017 with the announcement from the Gibraltar regulator that we were going to be launching what was called the Distributed Ledger Technology Regulatory Framework. We were using and leveraging our experience with online gaming and financial services generally to create what we believed was the world's first regulatory framework to provide regulatory certainty, legal certainty, and in some respects financial certainty for the blockchain community. And we launched on the 1st of January 2018 the new DLT regulations. But what did that actually mean? Well, we created not a prescriptive set of rules, but 9 principles, 9 DLT principles for companies who could come to Gibraltar that were involved in either the storage or distribution of value on the blockchain. And if you wanted to come and apply for a license, you could do from the 1st of January, but there were 9 principles that you have to uphold. And there are a number there that are pretty, in many ways, logical, but if I point to probably number 5, which was the protection of client assets and the protection of consumers, that's very important to us. And I think us as a community, we have to recognize that, why are we facing 2018 as the year of regulation? What it is about, what are regulators doing, and why are they doing it in terms of creating a regulatory pinch point for the new digital era? And I think, one answer and one aspect is to consider that they're, as Barry pointed out earlier, they are trying to catch up and not get caught out by innovation. That's true, but also I think there's genuine concern globally about lack of customer and consumer protection. And what does that mean? And how can we help as the community? And so that's how we, as the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, as I say, back in 2016 and 17, started to think about how we, as an EU-regulated exchange, which is what we are, a securities exchange, could be applying some of those principles, some of those standards to the blockchain community. And that's how we launched, as part of the Gibraltar Stock Exchange, the GBX, the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange, which was our initiative that we launched in August 2017 in the planning phase. And we had 3 core themes that we wanted to develop. And, but the essence of what we're trying to do is to create a set of rules, a regulatory framework, best practices, transparency and visibility, just a culture, that's very important, a culture of standards and rules, because what we believe is that from that culture creates confidence, and confidence, as Barry said earlier, is key to the growth of the new digital era. So we have 2 aspects to the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange as its initial starting point for us. We're going to be a token sale platform and a cryptocurrency exchange, all subject to regulatory approval, of course, by our own regulator, operating under the new DLT framework. And again, so whereas with Gibraltar, we're one of the world's first to create a regulatory certainty and a regulatory framework, we as an exchange are looking to be one of the first in the world to be regulated and to provide support for community to actually bring their tokens to Gibraltar, to register in Gibraltar, and actually to list on the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange under a regulatory exchange, one of the first, we believe. So in terms of the token sale platform, again, it's very much built on best practices of a regulated market. So we're looking at 4 key aspects: eligibility, transparency of your white papers, that's a rules-based system, the continuing obligations of token issuers, very important. Once you've launched your token, raised your money, we want to be able to follow what you do. And also market abuse, 4 key aspects of what it takes to list an IPO on a regulated market. We're taking those principles for the token market and the token sale platform. What we're trying to do also is develop a whitelist and registered list of community members who are, once registered on the GBX, they can access all the tokens that come onto the token sale platform. But these tokens have to go through a process, and I'll talk to you more about that in a moment. So, whereas with the token sale platform, we also have the digital cryptocurrency exchange that will follow. The exchange will be a secondary market for tokens. In the first instance, we're looking at utility tokens, but we'll talk some more about what we believe will be happening on the whole tokenization and securitization of the economy a little bit more. So in terms of our plans, we are launching the token sale platform this month, and the digital crypto exchange hopefully in May. They're the 2 key points that we're going to be launching and for you to look out for. Just a quick note as well about other strategic partnerships. Japan, Singapore, Australia, over there, they're all interesting jurisdictions in terms of they're also working towards providing regulatory leadership, and regulators there are, shall we say, a little bit more open-minded and flexible towards how they can balance the needs of innovation versus regulation. Japan, and particularly a regulated exchange they're called COIN, is someone that we've partnered up with. Very similar mindset to us in terms of sharing the same passion for transparency, rules, and corporate governance. So for the time being, while we're working on our own technology solutions for our own cryptocurrency exchange, we have a partnership with COIN based in Japan. So where do we want to be? So obviously the start of our journey for the GSX and the GBX is the token sale platform and crypto exchange, but we're creating an ecosystem within Gibraltar generally, both within the Gibraltar Stock Exchange Group and Gibraltar as a jurisdiction. But for us, where we want to be over the course of the next year is to not only create the token sale platform and the exchange, but also to create a whole suite of services for token issuers, fintech companies, startups, to be able to say, you can come to Gibraltar, you can register, you can establish yourself within the jurisdiction and have everything within one jurisdiction, everything with one exchange group, from launching your token to being based there, to having a regulatory umbrella, but to go through a whole journey. And I think we're all going to be doing that over the next 5 to 10 years, is embarking on a journey of discovery and growth and company evolution, and we can do that within one jurisdiction. We took the decision, if we were going to be involved ourselves in applying best rules and standards to the token market, we should do one ourselves. And that's what we did. So that was another decision that we made back in August last year, was to launch our own token. Very much a voyage of discovery for ourselves. We made a lot of mistakes, and it was an exhausting journey, and I would not want to repeat it. And that for those of you who are about to embark on that journey, good luck, because it's exhausting, and it's what you see today is a very different man and as a team to where we were a year ago. Fascinating. And happy to share insights and stories with you. If you were to come up and ask me, we're very, very delighted to share war stories, because there are a few. But ultimately, we did conclude both our pre-sale and our public sale in the first week of February, and we achieved our ambition, which was to raise 27 million to fund the project that I just outlined. I'm not sure about the word rockers, though, but that's a, But yeah, our own token will be basically an access token to our ecosystem, both to pay for listing fees, trading fees, sponsor fees. I'll talk to you more about that in a moment, and other aspects of our ecosystem. So how does it work in practice? So as I say, mentioning applying the rules and principles of our regulated exchange, we have devised a similar listing process for the GBX. And part of that, and essential to that, is really our sponsor firms. Sponsor firms are the new breed of alternative corporate finance houses, investment banks that are involved in the digital space, but they are responsible for taking an issuer to market. So issuers do not speak directly to us as an exchange. Sponsor firms are both our customer base in a way, but also our first line of defense, because they are the ones that guide listings to market. And we have launched over the last month our own token listing rules, and they're available on our website, what an issuer has to do. But there is a process, and more importantly, it's a boot camp, because we are setting a high barrier to entry to the market, in that it's a responsibility for issuers and for sponsor firms to recognize that there are standards that we want you to uphold to not only getting to the market, the eligibility and the criteria for transparency, for your white papers, etc., but also ongoing obligations. That's going to be very important. Once you've raised your capital, What are you going to do with it? How are you going to report to your community? And how frequently? All those are within our rules, but it's the sponsor firm is basically your partner through that exercise. So we launched our sponsor firm rules last month, and we're in the process now of approving our first cohort of founding sponsor firms. We have 3 at the moment, based globally, and we will have 10 by the end of April, and probably by the end of the first half, a total of 20, spanning from South America to North America, UK, obviously, continental Europe, and Asia. How does it work, the listing process? Well, there are 2 avenues. So not only for new tokens, those that are creating their token generation events, they can approach the sponsor firm, our trusted network, who review the application, and ultimately you can, once approved, if you are approved, to go to our token sale platform, and then subsequently, should you wish, the cryptocurrency exchange. But equally, we are in discussions with tokens that are already existing, who can, again, go through our sponsor firm network, again, be held to our rules and regulations, but can, through that process, come on our crypto exchange. And we continue to grow as an ecosystem. As I say, our aim is to provide a full suite of services within Gibraltar, and we acquired ourselves in December last year, Grant Thornton Fund Administration, that we've rebranded as Juno, and they're now part of our group to provide all the support services that one needs. Banking is very important, as we all know, one of the major pinch points as well as regulation globally for the token and fintech communities. We're working hard in Gibraltar to provide banking solutions. It's by no means perfect at the moment, but at least in the spirit of being open-minded, in the spirit of recognizing the need to provide basic financial services to the fintech community, which I believe is one of the big scandals of the age. That major significant companies cannot access basic banking services. It has to change, and that ultimately is where we are. Now, in terms of our GSX group, we have 3 markets. We have our regulated stock exchange, our main market, and that abides by all the rules of the EU. We have a global market, a self-regulated exchange within the GSX, and also we have now the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange. So what we hope to provide for the community is this financing pathway and this financing journey. Someone said once, ICO to IPO is not something that we like to promote directly, but it's kind of that thing from token to equity, all within the digital market, the digital age. And I think the big opportunity for us is not just looking at utility tokens, but to consider how we embrace token securities. I think that's the big opportunity for all of us and us as an exchange to be able to not really have to differentiate between utility tokens and security tokens. If you have a token, come to Gibraltar, and I think by the end of the year we will have that solution for you. And the development work begins now, as I say. So we have our token sale platform being launched this month. We have building out our sponsor firm network. We have our license extension that we're going to be applying to our own regulator, the FSC, for security tokens. That will be going in the next month, so to enable us to be able to list security tokens on the GSX, and the creation of the ecosystem generally. A lot for us to do. And we have hopefully a great team of both youth and grey hairs. You can see me on the left. That actually was before I started on my own token journey within GBX. You can see I'm a very healthy, tanned, 10 kilos lighter. And you see me today. So it kind of encapsulates the pressures of the new digital era where every day feels like a year. But we have a great expertise on the capital markets and risk side, and obviously we have youth on our side as well. One of my colleagues who was with us from the very start, Daniel Evans, is here. He'll be based in our London office, and I don't know where he is, but he'll be on the panel later. but we are, in terms of our network, we stretch from Hong Kong to Singapore to London and Gibraltar, which is our HQ. And that's it. Sorry if I ran over, but kind of gives you a flavour of what we're doing. I think it's important in terms of what we believe in terms of protection of customers, and actually customer service is what we're really all about. So, we want to answer every question that comes our way. And
we're going to take 2 questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody have a question? Go ahead. Please repeat the question for the audience.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Microphones, please. It's okay.
So a number of companies are launching ICOs that really don't have a strong use case or value proposition for blockchain. How do you filter that, irrespective of whether it's a utility or a security token? How do you ensure that it's actually a token? There's economics behind it.
It's a good question. I mean, we do see a few. And listen, in one way, we will have a view, but in others, we are impartial in some ways. And I think it's we have. We'll address it in 2 ways, shall we say. We have our own listings and authorizations team, a team of 10 that work in Gibraltar to really analyze use cases. But it's really a partnership between us and the sponsor firms to actually decide those fundamental questions. That use cases is very much one. It's a commercial due diligence is very much a focus, and work on the fundamental promoters as well to actually put it all in a pot and decide, does this make sense? But ultimately the decision makers will be the community themselves. And Barry said earlier that whole Darwinian selection process. With this, we're in an era now of huge experimentation, and I'm not sure to what extent we ourselves will whittle down those candidates, but through our rules and procedures, I think to a certain extent we will do. But you're absolutely right. A lot of people and a lot of projects are questionable on a whole myriad of criteria, of which that's one. Absolutely.
One more question.
Stephen Castell of Castell Consulting.
Hi.
A really wonderful presentation, thank you. And I was very pleased to see you call them rockers. I've dubbed cryptocurrencies the millennials rock and roll. So some of us have the real thing, you see.
Absolutely.
And they've now got cryptocurrency, which is fantastic. And let's hope it does what rock and roll did for the rest of us. Just 2 quick questions, not really related. One is, to what extent are other stock exchanges doing what you're doing or looking to do what you're doing? In particular, obviously, the London Stock Exchange,
Yep.
if you know anything about that, that's kind of on one side. The other side is picking up what the other gentleman said. You mentioned you are a licensed stock exchange and that your regulator was the SSC?
FSC, yeah, the Financial Services Commission, yeah, in Gibraltar. That's in Gibraltar. That's in Gibraltar. Yeah.
So do you have devolved powers to set up such a new asset class, currency class, and do the things you're doing, setting up an exchange, issuing new tokens, authorizing your sponsor firms? You have that power already under your existing
Absolutely,
licenses.
absolutely.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to get all of those things cleared with your regulator first.
Well, for the Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange, yes, we do, and we've had to apply for a license under the new DLT framework. So that's the first thing. So yeah, we worked in partnership with the government and the regulator to apply for that license for the GBX, but equally for the Gibraltar Stock Exchange. Yes, we do have to extend our license. So that's an application process that we have to undertake in the next month to actually allow for the listing of security tokens and the recognition of those by our own regulator, which is an autonomous regulator within the European Union.
So that begs the question: is there a set of documentation from your regulator which sets out the parameters by which they will judge and allow you to do what you intend to do, that other people could visit if they wanted to do something similar with another exchange somewhere else?
Yes, that will happen. That will happen. Yes.
Would that be put up on your site?
It will.
Thank you very much.
But not yet. But not yet. But to answer your first question about what other stock exchanges are doing, yes, absolutely. Many stock exchanges are grappling with how they evolve. and to sort of cater for the digital economy. But obviously, we have the advantage of being small and nimble, both as a jurisdiction as an exchange. Others do, others don't. Others have legacy systems that they have to sort of adapt, and it will take time. But yes, others will follow. And we're happy with that.
One quick question.
Yeah.
For the audience at home, audience out there that we're watching live, what's the procedure if anybody wants to get in touch with you, anybody wants to be a company? What is the due diligence? How do they go and apply to be in stock exchange?
Yes, okay. So you can come to us. You can write to us at the gbx.gi info at. But we will be putting you through as the first step to our sponsor firm network. And as I say, globally, and working with them to find out which is the best fit. And so that's the partnership that will then work with us within our exchange to hopefully bring you to market. And
do they have to be a resident of Gibraltars, or do they?
No,
any
they
of this?
We're the jurisdictions are obviously that's a moving market as to which jurisdictions are finding it difficult and which are we're open to. But you do not have to be based in Gibraltar as a company to issue your token in Gibraltar or the Gibraltar Stock Exchange.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation,
That'd be
Barry.
great. Thanks. Thanks, man.